And back.
Okay, awesome. Still remove, I think so. Okay, shall I share you the link as well?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Shall I share you the link for
Yeah,
sharing?
please. Yeah.
Just one moment. Got it. Okay. The link on Instagram or is it on Twitter?
Instagram's fine.
Okay. So I drop it there.
Let's see.
And where is the picture from my side?
Okay. And there
Okay. And I think we're up.
Yay.
Yay! So, hi, Katherine, and thank you and welcome to Slice of Life. This is the first time having you here, and I'm so excited. So
yeah,
thank you
I'm excited too. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so before we dive down into today's topic, which is about forgiveness, I would like to give you a stage, like center stage. Please feel free to introduce yourself to everyone who's listening, and also introduce your business a little bit, what you do, etc.
Hi, my name is Katherine. I'm a tarot reader, and I also do Reiki, but that's not really my focus with clients. I like to do more in terms of like relationship work, and not. I was trained as a life coach, so when I bring that into my life or my tarot reading, that's more so to help people make inspired choices with relationships and how they connect with other people and things like that.
That's so cool.
Yeah, thank you.
I have to say I do not know like the topic that you're focusing on usually. So who knows, maybe the next one I will be like, hi Katherine, do you have a spot for me?
Yeah. Well, the way I look at it is, we have like a relationship with life itself. So relationships are such a core part of it that looking at that in a very practical way can really unlock a lot of doors for you in terms of healing and just connectedness with others.
Yes. And I do sometimes feel that to like connecting to others is kind of tough, especially like as an introvert. Like you just
Yes. And I feel like I spent so much of my life reclusing from connections that at this point in my life, it's like I know how to break that wall down almost, and be like, okay, I want my own space, my own sovereignty, but I want to also have that heart-to-heart connection and that deeper emotional field,
Yes, I totally can understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you have the wall, but I want everything.
Yeah, exactly.
It's beautiful. I love that. So I think today's conversation will fit in very well as well. It's not about forgiveness, like let's talk about forgiveness. Like what does it mean to you?
When I think of the word forgiveness, I instantly think of the word peace. So I feel like there's, a sense of when you start to kind of unravel what forgiveness is and how to practice it, you start to feel this deeper internal peace that comes with it. And it really does free you from attachments or even from your own perceptions of things, because sometimes there's so much more to the story or what's going on that you really recognize. And I feel like forgiveness opens the lens so that you can kind of maybe not know everything, but you can feel that there's more to the picture than what you know.
I totally resonate with that. It's like
Mhm.
sometimes we do not know what the other person is going through as they make that decision, or even like, like they hurt you in the first place. Like, what are they going through? We do not
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
Sometimes even about us, like forgiving ourselves, like we don't like at the time we are taking some action, we might not even be conscious that kind of action is hurtful to us until after the fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
mm, that
And
that is very beautiful. I like to like what you say is like open up a door to see more to the relationship or more towards the background of what is happening at times.
mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I know in my own personal experience, there are things that I've done where looking back on it, like I can see why that would have not been something I do now. But at the same time, there's like a forgiveness even within the self that has to happen, like with those sorts of situations. And it's like it's all just learning.
Exactly. Or just
Yeah.
learning, making mistake is nothing big, I would say. And that
Yeah.
is of like forgiveness already. Like you learn to
Mhm.
accept that you make mistakes. And with
Yes.
that, you learn to forgive yourself. Like, it's a cycle. It's like chicken and egg.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. Like, yeah, forgiveness, being gentle with yourself. And yeah, tomorrow is Valentine's Day. Take a time to forgive and be gentle with yourself. I think that is a very good practice as well.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Especially around like a holiday where there's so many people who beat themselves up for not having connections or having the wrong connections or whatever the case may be, right?
Yes, tomorrow is a big day, I guess, for a lot of people. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Forgiveness is a beautiful word. But sometimes I do think that a lot of people have a misconception on forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like they think that, why do I have to forgive that person who has hurt me before? Like, that
Mm-hmm.
big conception. Um, I have my own opinion of that, but you know, I would like to.
Yeah. I see where that comes from. Like I do, especially if there has been a lot of hurt, a lot of trauma, that sort of thing. I understand that concept, but the way I've always looked at it is forgiveness, it's for yourself. And I feel like forgiveness also gets painted in a way where people are like, oh, well, just forgive them, like move on, that sort of thing. But more
Mhm,
so, to be able to forgive, you have to first feel those more difficult feelings of like the anger, of the rejection of a sort, that sort of thing, the sadness even. And I feel like that's like that's a key step. And once you kind of feel those emotions, it's much more easier to be like, okay, well, yeah, it was a terrible situation that really, it's hard to forgive, but for my own sake of peace, I'm going to forgive. And it's like, you don't even have to forgive the person and let them back in your life or any of that. It's more just, let's find peace in this after I've dealt with the emotions that were the, you know, result of it.
exactly. Exactly what how you put it as well. That's my feeling about this. It's like,
Mhm,
yeah, forgiveness does not mean that you don't have a boundary with
mhm,
people who has been not nice to you before.
mhm.
Forgiveness does not mean that you don't feel the feeling, or a lot of people use forgiveness as a gloss over the feeling and just leave it be. But it's
Yeah,
not. Yeah, it's
no,
a lot of work. I have to.
it is, and it's something that I feel like when you learn how to really accept in forgiveness, that
Mm,
it does free you in a way that when you look back, you're like, I had to really climb a mountain to get there. You know what I mean?
yes, yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes depends on how deep those wounds are. Sometimes it will take few years to finally
Hmm.
be able to forgive and let go.
Hmm.
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah. And that's something I've experienced myself. Yeah. Yeah.
me too. Yeah, still
Yeah.
working on some.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. Same.
Yeah, yeah, and I really like that. What you touch on the first. Like my brain is a bit scattered right now, so
Mhm.
forgive me. But yes, what you touch on is like forgiveness is for yourself. It's not
Mhm.
for the person.
Mhm.
I do personally think, and I personally think that no one can forgive anyone else. We can only
Mhm.
forgive ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We cannot, even if we like telling other people like I forgive you, the person,
Yeah.
if they are not willing to let that go for themselves, they will not find that peace. So
Mm-hmm.
forgiveness is always for the self. It is yeah, it's like the greatest gift you can give to you.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It does. It also kind of creates this buffer that I see in my mind where,
Mm.
you have that compassion. It's like a compassionate buffer. And it's more so like a warm blanket, hugging you than something that like keeps things from interacting with you, if that makes sense. That's just always how I've seen it.
It does. Wow, I
Mm.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just like, I need to take take a deep, breathe of it. Like I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah, forgiveness. So such a deep topic, seriously. And I do hope more people look into it more instead of just like, forgive and forget. Forgive does not mean that you have to forget too.
No, not at all. And I feel like that's like you see a lot of the glossing over in that spiritual bypassing way. And I feel like when you take a step back and you're like, well, I don't want to bypass my feelings or, invalidate myself in some way. There's a practice in itself of showing up
Mhm.
to it and feeling it and then kind of working through it. And it doesn't have to be done all at once. Like you said, sometimes it takes years.
Take this. Yeah, still working on it. Yeah, and especially if that person is still in your life somehow,
Hmm.
then you're probably going to take a longer time to do it. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's been my experience with like family, childhood trauma, that sort of thing. Um,
Yeah.
because I still have contact with my family. It's like,
Mm.
it's taken a lot of time to again create that buffer where it's like, okay, I can see the person for a human and not necessarily like
Oops.
a caretaker.
I'm not sure whether I am frozen or Catherine is frozen.
Oh
Just
no.
give us yes. Hi.
Hi.
We're back. Okay. Yeah, you're talking about your experience about
Yeah.
forgiveness with your family.
Yeah, and it's taken a little bit of time to create that buffer where I'm able to see the family member more as a family member than not as a family member, as a human, and recognizing, like, especially with my mother, I know that I'm
Mhm.
at the age where she like married my dad, and thinking about her life when she was marrying my dad versus like where I am now and just her whole backstory. I'm like, I can see how it really is like a generational thing, and there's like, there's more to it than just like she's not being malicious. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of times I do think, especially for family members, I'm not going to just saying that like a cover on everyone
Hmm.
because I
Hmm.
know there are family members who might have issue of their own. But
Hmm.
yes, some of them they actually do things to us, kind of like
Hmm.
try to protect us from the world.
Yes.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
personally see this a lot with my grandma back then because
Hmm.
I was brought up by her and she is overprotective up to she control my every movement. Like I can't
Hmm.
go anywhere without permission,
Hmm.
curfew, etc. There's all in place. But like forgiveness, when I've had forgiveness is that I realize that she just does it out trying to protect, me.
Yeah.
But she doesn't
Yes.
know how to do it better.
Yeah. Yeah. To say she did the best with the tools she knew, but that's all she could do. And that's very much how I feel about my own grandparents and my own parents. They did the best they could.
But that's like it. They
Yeah.
I hope more people can also understand that they did not have much of like the therapy. They
Hmm.
do not have all these tools about how to take care of your children.
Hmm.
What they know is what their parents taught them. Like
Hmm.
that is how they know how to teach children. So if their parents is
Yes.
like pretty violent or anything, then they are
Mhm.
going to do the same to the kids. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And that's one thing that, I try to always keep in mind because I know my parents had such vastly different upbringings than what I have.
Mhm.
So even with, the trauma that's there, it's like I have forgiveness in terms of just them doing the best they could and like working with what they had. And especially in a time before really the internet or social media, and there's a lot there.
Yes, there's a lot
Very,
there.
yeah. I think sometimes we forget that we have such a endless resource now available to us in our pockets, whereas that just
Yes.
wasn't a thing for the longest time, for most of time, really.
Yes, like that is the recent thing. I think millennia, we're starting to have more awareness. Like even as a millennia, okay, I would have to say the first part of my life, I am not aware of all these different issues.
Mhm.
Mental health is not a thing like in Asia.
Yeah.
So yeah, like if we are not exposed to this, we won't ever know. So
Hmm. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
is a big one to see from that lens. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Strongly agree there.
yeah. And I would say, like, forgiveness works not just families, like friendship as well. And I believe, like, what triggers our ideas about talking about forgiveness was like talking about
Mhm.
friendship and etc.
Mhm.
And also about seeing their lens on why they do the things that they do.
Mhm.
Mm,
And yeah, and when I met my partner, he said something to me that like really changed my perspective, because he has this phrase where he's like, I don't assume malice, like someone is doing something, but I don't necessarily assume that they're being malicious. And
mm,
I, not that I always assumed malice, but I had that protect myself at all costs, like that sort of defense. But
mm,
when I heard him say that, I was like, oh, you know what? Yeah, like most people are not out there just scheming to make decisions that are going to hurt other people, or
mm.
they're really just doing the best they can for themselves. And if you get caught up in that crossfire, sometimes people do things that I don't understand. I'm not going to pretend to understand, but at the same
Yeah,
time, it's like that doesn't really reflect so much of you, whereas they are. Does that make sense?
it does. Like,
Yeah.
I can see where you're coming as well. Like,
Yeah.
wow, gotta sit into that. But yeah, very, very important to understand that, yeah, they don't do it out of malicious intent. Like, I
Hmm.
believe everyone have a good intent. Like,
Yeah.
everyone believe that their intention is good.
Hmm.
Um, and somehow it will hurt someone,
Yeah.
especially those energies not aligned. So
Hmm.
yeah, like it happens.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah, it does. And I
mm,
I hold space for, I I might be hurt by something that another friend did, but at the same time, again, like that open lens of trying to understand, like there's probably more than what it's like an iceberg. There's what you see, and then there's really what's going on underneath.
yes.
And you can drive yourself nuts trying to figure it out. So it's not
Mm.
really for you to figure out. It's more so just to hold the space for it.
Yeah, hold the space for it, accept it as it is. I always
Hmm.
say that, like, you can accept that it is
Hmm.
what it is without agreeing to it. Like, yeah, we accept, like, the government is shitty, but I don't agree that they should be shitty, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's funny. I always
Oops.
work with people.
Is
Oh,
that
am
my
I?
connection or a train
It,
connection?
it might
I
be
won't
my
know.
connection. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, I think it's my connection. It's a little spotty this morning. Um,
It
yeah,
is.
it is what it is. It's funny.
Even
I
like
I
this.
used to I used to actually have horrific social anxiety. Like the idea of doing something like this would never even have entered my mind. But
Mhm,
when I was going through therapy and kind of on my own healing path with my social anxiety, I
mhm,
learned this method of like accepting your anxiety as it is. Like, okay, I am anxious. And like, I don't have to like the fact that I'm anxious, but I
mhm,
can sit with the fact that, I am. And that kind of creates this space where you start to realize like why do I think I'm anxious? That sort of thing, like what's going through my mind. And there's a whole process. And I consider that still with like forgiveness too. There's an acceptance that comes with it. And yeah, I feel real crappy that this happened, but it,
mhm.
it doesn't have to define who I am or what I'm doing, you know?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. This
Yeah.
bring me back to I think recent my healing session with others as well. A lot is coming up. Is like we do tends to, if we have a negative trait, and then we
Hmm.
be like what you mentioned, like I'm anxious. Okay, that is a
Yeah.
negative. And what the first thing we try to do is, okay, I have to make myself not anxious.
Yeah.
Like we have to get rid of that. We have to punch ourselves into shape so that we can
Yeah.
present ourselves that perfect image.
Yeah.
Like you have to do that. That is a lot to forgive yourself, hold space for yourself to,
Mhm.
to become a greater version of you. But you don't have to
Mhm.
force yourself to become that.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That is very feminine energy as well. Because
Yeah.
feminine is all about, accepting and just seeing things as it is, accept it as it is.
Mhm.
And in time, believing that that would change.
Mhm.
Because when
Yeah.
you accept something, you don't push it away, it will change.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Mm.
when I went to life coach school, a big thing that they taught us was, you can show up, accept that that person is the way they are, and then hold space for anything to happen in the future. Like just because this person has been this way or is this way right now doesn't mean that's like their forever, mold. So I really love to open that space where it's like anything can really happen here and it can go in a much positive direction.
Exactly. I love
Mhm.
that. I see that through personal experience on
Mhm.
my mom.
Yeah.
So my mom was that very well, my mom is a Leo moon, so she has a very strong personality and a very,
Mhm.
how to say, um, like in a way very stubborn. She is very
Yeah.
stubborn, and very stubborn.
So I'm a
Yeah,
Leo moon. I understand completely.
yeah. And I thought she would never change. Like I practically picked a job, kind of like a
Mhm.
career that she would never approve of. I am
Mhm.
like doing freelancing,
Mhm.
etc. She would never approve of. She was like, you should go out and find a job. That is her.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like throughout the last year and a half, I see a great change in her. Like she just swoop. And
Mhm.
nowadays, like although she has worries, she'll be like, okay, everything all right? You're fine?
Mhm.
Okay, good. Do your thing.
Yeah.
My mom is even meditating right now. So I'm
That's
like,
beautiful.
I'm
That's
proud.
beautiful. Yeah, that's wonderful. It's similar here with my own mother. We had a really uh
Mm,
interesting connection like in my younger adult years. But
mm,
the last, when I started doing tarot reading, when I started kind of doing my own thing, and she was
mm,
definitely like, oh, you should get some security. Like this isn't, but then
mm.
after a couple of years now, she's like, I just want you to do what makes you happy. And I just want you to like show up and do what you obviously are really good at doing. And that's wonderful. That's a wonderful switch. And she even reads oracle cards now. So it's very funny how that
I love
works.
that. Yeah, it's like I do think that people are, able to change as long as we give them time and
Hmm.
just accept them as they are right there. That is
Hmm.
their
Yeah.
starting point. And you have your own starting point, they have their own starting point, they have their choice to make their own, you know, make their own choices, make their own decisions on what to
Hmm.
do.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. And I did find that, in my own personal situation, it was like it needed space in order for both of us to kind of figure out who we are outside of our mother daughter dynamic. And that in
Yeah,
itself was like a great space for forgiveness and for understanding, and on both sides, really. And the relationship that we have now, we can admit like we are not as close as we'd like to be, but it's okay. Like we're working on
mm,
it.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
space is very, very important. And I think I mentioned just now as well, like giving space to the person you are trying to forgive, like
Hmm.
between you guys, that would really works. Like it is going to speed things up a lot more
Hmm.
because during the time that you're not really connecting with another, you're not really talking to another, there is space for growth, for self-contemplation, and
Hmm.
yeah, and that would bring in more forgiveness, more healing, and help the relationship to move forward.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I will say too that space, it gives place for reflection, but something I always take note of is how there's aspects of whatever that person is doing that maybe I also inhibit myself. And I feel like that space for self-reflection as well gives even more room for understanding, and also just that like I said, that peace where that forgiveness comes in, where you're like, okay, I see that this is upsetting me and I see how I reflect in that. And I see it's like, it's not that everything is, well, I mean, everything is a reflection, but it's more so I see it as understanding that whatever this is, it's like a deeper, it's affecting you in a deeper way than just what, like, I'm mad right now. You know what I mean?
I get you. Yes,
Yeah.
reflecting on a deeper level. I feel that way, like totally with my relationship with my mom, like totally.
Mhm.
And yeah, the space also would be great because you wouldn't get triggered every other day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, when you get
Say,
triggered at the end of the day, what happens is that you will stay in that mad, angry, like,
mm-hmm.
how could you do that to me? That kind of energy, and you can't get out of that because every other day you
Yeah.
get something new.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. And I do feel like it's such a conscious choice to take that space and to like, uh,
Yes.
to realize that you are in that triggered cycle and being like, okay, how do I pull back from this and like create that space? And again, I think that just goes into forgiving yourself too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. True. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And give you time to also find out your boundaries,
Hmm.
what they are. And when you have space and time, you probably be able to set the boundaries instead of constantly being on the trigger. Because
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
we're there, we probably don't even know the boundaries. It's like very blurry. We are on high emotion. Emotion is running
Hmm.
us.
Yes. And when you are in that high emotional state, it's harder to even recognize what the boundary like needs to be in general, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, my boundaries would be like, just don't talk to me.
Been there. Yep.
Just don't talk to me. Like, no, I hate you. Everything. Get out of here. Yeah.
Relatable.
Yeah. So yes, that is very important step. Like, give yourself space, give that person space, and yeah, eventually you'll come to either a middle ground, or even if you don't, I will believe that forgiveness will come naturally,
Yes.
and whether that person come back into your life. Uh,
Mhm.
are we frozen again?
Oh no. Ah, hello.
Is Mercury retrograde still a shadow? Yeah,
Right.
Mercury has been on my ass for the past whole month or so,
Mhm.
and I'm sick of you. Can you?
I'm still dealing with it as well. I am trying to do videos and things like that, and just all my editing software is not working. I think it's so funny.
I know. It was tough. I think because Mercury was in Aquarius when it
Hmm.
retrograde. So
Yeah.
Aquarius is ruling of the like future technology, innovations, everything, and
Hmm.
then we become like, okay, our innovation is not working. Hi.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I lost my thoughts, by the way.
I did too, completely.
Mm,
That's okay.
okay. Where was I? Mm,
Mm.
I guess it's okay. It will come back when it does.
Yeah. Oh, you were saying how forgiveness is like a natural, it
Ah,
happens naturally. And I agree
yes.
with that.
Yeah,
I was gonna
it
say
does.
it takes effort and energy to hold a grudge. Do you know what I mean?
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Like, I sometimes will see like when I'm working with energy, so I seeing that in the energy level, the grudge, or like like that. Maybe it's like even grief that we are
Mm-hmm.
holding on that on from that wound.
Yeah.
It is very heavy. Like a lot of time I'm
Mm-hmm.
seeing like it's pouring on like shoulder area, the
Mm-hmm.
uh, back level area
Yeah.
over there, or more like chest area. It is so hard to even breathe sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would just be like, oh, you're carrying all that, and don't you find it's hard to breathe?
Yeah. It's true. It's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I went through a situation a couple of years ago that caused a lot of grief. And for a long time, it felt like I was just moving into sludge. And it wasn't until I started to kind of feel through the grief that it was really, it
Mm.
cleared itself out, you know. And then it got to a point where I was able to go see another energy worker and get some energetic work done, which that just that is also a big part of it. It's like the energy that you're carrying in general, and just being able to kind of move that around so it's not so stuck anymore.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And carrying that is like our body is not meant to carry those heavy energy with us, because when we
Hmm.
do for a long time, it definitely is going to protest, and you will
Hmm.
feel like basically.
They say
So
it makes you sick over time. It definitely does.
it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
So it's not to shame anyone who feel like they can't forgive, like you don't
Hmm.
have to, but
Hmm.
slowly like work through and feel through all those grief and all those pain and all those anger that you store inside.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
a lot of people not able to forgive is because you're holding on to all those things inside
Hmm.
here. You're not sure how to express it, and
Hmm.
the society is telling you that you should not express it, so
Hmm.
it will accumulate over time.
And I do feel that, like a lot of people have this idea that they have to go through all that alone. But really, like, there's a lot of resources where, you can talk to trusted friends or family, or even like getting a counselor for a few sessions just so you can talk out those really dense, like heavy emotions. Because I know, as someone who has always been like, I have to do everything by myself, it took a lot of time for me to learn, like, oh, there's support around me, even if I don't feel like I can see it. And when you really start to embrace that support, that helps so much, because it's, whereas something might have happened that caused that grief, like I said, everything is a relationship. So other relationships can also help you heal through that as well, because in their very nature, they're healing, you know?
Yes, connection and everything. Connection is healing itself. I do see
It
that.
is. Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is.
Okay. I'm like, hi, are we frozen again?
Hope not.
Oops. Uh, Hi, welcome back.
Hi. Thank you. I don't.
um, yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, even like you mentioning about the tools that you can use to help yourself to process through all those anger and grief. It does not, like, if you are someone who is not good with human connection,
Hmm.
then how about connecting to the nature?
Hmm.
Like go to the
Yes.
ocean and just allow yourself to, feel those feeling when you are at the ocean. That is one of the rare healing practice.
Hmm. Yeah, that's beautiful. And I really
Mm.
resonate with it. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
will be one of the very good practices. I always encourage people to go out and try doing that, because it's one of the practices that Akasha Records keep telling me to do that as well. I haven't do that. I have to say. I do a lot of connection with water, so that
Hmm.
helped me myself. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other than that, yeah, like connecting, maybe let's say to practitioners, like energy
Hmm.
practitioners, they can help with to some
Hmm.
extent. I personally don't recommend going to them like you would go to a therapist.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
but you can go to them and get some clarity, I would say.
Hmm.
Like therapy, they can give you some clarity on what is happening, help you to widen your perspective, etc. Energy
Hmm.
healers can probably help you to move some of the energy around, and then you might feel them better.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of like tarot readings that I do are, in a way, for people to move through grief, for
Mm.
sure. Like, why did this happen? Well, let's look at, the energy behind everything that's going on, and see, like, again, opening that lens. It's just, I really think it's so important.
It is,
But it's
yeah.
also, I will say, as a tarot reader, and if you've been doing it long enough, you can start to see the emotions that are in the cards. And that's also a way that you can help, people process that in some way. And
Yes,
sometimes
I
people just need to be told, like, it's okay to go let yourself cry and, feel bad for a little bit. It's okay. It's what's going to really ultimately free you.
exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I personally have that experience as well. Like I have to
Mhm.
tell the client, like, you can cry, it's okay. And then
Mhm.
they get the tears. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes we just need that permission to let go. Because
Hmm.
I think that the world kind of like holding us so tight. Like crying is a vulnerability and we should not
Hmm.
have that, etc.
Mhm.
Oh, bullshit, I have to say.
And it's so funny. I mean, it is true, like vulnerability is seen as this like, don't do it. But in reality, like vulnerability is what connects us to everything and allows us to really live that free and open life. Because it's like there's no longer this facade that needs to be, upkept. It's like, and vulnerability, I also think doesn't look like, you know, spilling everything to every person that you meet, or you know what I mean? It's like there's a balance
Mhm.
there. And I feel like either way it does help you to open up that heart space.
Mm.
Takes time to
Yes,
get there though. It definitely does, because I know not everyone feels safe to be vulnerable.
definitely. Like
Yeah.
I have to say, me myself is one. I can't cry in public. So
Hmm.
yeah, it is for me. I do see that a lot as a childhood trauma that I have. I
Hmm.
haven't addressed
Yeah.
that, so
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
full forgiveness. I'm okay with myself to admit that, and that is
Hmm.
already some forgiveness there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Say
So
through being with a very healing partner, I have
mm,
learned how to cry around other people, because for the longest time I would just like hide in the bathroom and like not let anyone know I was crying. I had to like keep it together. But in this connection that I have now, it's like, again, just back to connections being very healing in nature. Like when you have that safe space where that person's like, no, like let me hold you, like let me be there for you, it's like it's very life changing in a lot of ways.
and you
Yeah.
deserve me.
Yeah.
Mm. And I
Yeah.
wish everyone who is listening as well would be able to find people who hold that space for you, because
Yeah.
some have to find that. Um, I would say, like, meanwhile, learn to hold the space for yourself and
Mhm.
just admit the vulnerability to yourself. That is a huge first step already.
Yeah, it is a huge first step.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love that. Yeah. Yeah. Forgiveness also help you to open up your heart space, and eventually that will allow you to find more genuine connection, I would have to say.
Hmm.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Helping you to find people who you really, really vibe with and can hold the space for you. It takes
Hmm.
genuinity to find that person. So
Hmm.
yeah, you'll be able to forgive yourself, to hold space for yourself. I think the easier you'll be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It does take a lot of moving through the world to find those connections. And especially, I know growing up, I was very prone to having like the mean girl best friend who was like, very nice to my face, but maybe not so nice behind my back.
Mm-mm.
And I will say, like, learning how to trust people and how to trust myself in meeting people and understanding, like, this feels like a good judge of character and things like that. It's been a whole, I mean, it's taken a decade. You know what I mean? It's not something that just like snapped happened.
Yeah. Once again, back to it takes time with all this
Yeah.
healing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can see that you are actually, making big progress from there to here. Like, you trusting yourself is holding space for yourself as well. To
Hmm.
hold space for like, maybe you will be wrong, but it is fine. That is
Yeah.
a form of forgiveness as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. That has to sink in with me, but yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I love
love it.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so great.
Forgiveness is such a big topic.
It is.
And
And it's hard to, because like I said, I understand that there are so many people who don't feel it's safe to forgive, or they have this, what I always say, that people will hear a word and their association with that word is how they feel about it, essentially. So if you have a
mm,
very negative connection to the word forgiveness, or this idea that you have to just, allow this person to do, crappy things, for lack of a better word,
mm,
that in itself will be very, it's like the Eight of Swords, where you're just kind of like stuck in place. There's no
mm.
movement around you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Forgiveness. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, kind of like very hard to put it into it. You know? What am I wanting to say? Yeah, you see me doing this a lot.
Mhm.
I have been feeling a lot of energies. I have to say that I have been feeling a lot of energies, and I can't put them into words. And I'm just like, words.
Yeah, no, I actually talked about this with someone the other day, how the high priestess in tarot, she's this channel who gets all this information, but sometimes the information is like too big for words, or it's like you, by putting words to it in some way, you like lessen the meaning of what you're feeling. And that's like, it's such a thing to experience. I feel like a lot of times with forgiveness, especially, it's a thing that you have to really experience firsthand, that process. And that really like opens up that, oh, like this, there's something so much more here than just forgiving this person or forgiving myself or anything like that. You know what I mean? And like you said, you don't really forgive another person, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I understand completely what you're saying.
Thank you for being, like, thank you for feeling this and understanding this. I do feel like, especially my friend keep on telling me that it's Jupiter in Pisces that is causing all this,
Mm,
like feeling so much. You want to explain something, but the word just does not come out.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes a lot of sense too.
We are going to
Yeah.
experience that during Pisces season. So if I'm incoherent at all, you know what happened.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
Yeah. But yeah, forgiveness. Also, I was like wanting to say one thing is that sometimes when we are carrying that, you know, like that, not say blame, but that hurt, that pain. Are you
Mhm.
with me?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
with you.
Okay, so that word, that hurt, that pain, because someone else did you dirty,
Mhm,
it will eventually, kind of like, we are not intentionally, but we will hurt someone else because
mhm.
of that as well. Because
Yeah.
hurt people hurt other people out of protection.
Mhm. Yeah.
And forgiveness can help you to actually, like, when you work with that, when you really address those hurt, when you
Mhm.
were hurt, when you were wounded, and start to heal that, you would be more conscious about not hurting other people as well. So that is something
Yeah.
that, yeah, one of the benefits I want to say.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I really resonate with that. I know in the past I have,
Mm,
abandoned friendships for really nothing really. And I feel like that act, it took a while for me to recognize, like, oh, this is like a wound that I'm carrying, and now I'm doing it to other people. So it does take space to sit with that without shame and without blame and without, it's like really just, again, holding that like compassionate buffer for yourself, where you're like, okay, I'm a human being, I made some mistakes, and now I'm learning from them.
yes, don't shame and blame yourself.
Mhm.
Um, it does not serve anyone. Um,
No,
yeah,
no.
the
And
blame, go on.
I was gonna say, shame is like such the root of why people act the way they do too. You know what I mean? Like I think of Brene Brown. I love her work, and like she talks a lot about shame and how that like shapes us as a society. And it's really, if you're aware of it, you realize this is not helping me in any way. It's really only perpetuating it and furthering it.
Yeah, perpetuating the pattern of
Mhm.
what has happened before.
Mhm.
Shame, blame as well. But yeah, we might sometimes want to have someone to blame just so that we don't blame ourselves. A lot of time we don't
Mhm.
forgive, we refuse to forgive is that we want to point a finger somewhere else. So that we
Yeah.
don't look inside here, you know?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Connection.
Yeah, it's funny. I used to encounter a lot of like angry people, like people with like lots of outward anger, like outward angry outbursts. I'd see fights in the street. It was like I saw it everywhere, and I would always,
Mm,
have kind of a judgment towards that. And it wasn't
mm,
until I lived by myself for the first time as like an older adult that I was like,
mm,
oh, I'm the angry one. Like I have a lot of anger that I have not accepted, or I've repressed it for so long. That in
mm,
itself is, again, holding that space for, okay, yeah, like it's okay to have that anger, it's okay to forgive the reasons for that anger. It's
mm.
an unfolding, if you will.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, anger is to me what I see when I look at anger. I like to meditate on all these things. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
let me share with you. Anger for me, I see is like it is a natural state for us
Hmm.
human being to feel when we find something that is not right according
Hmm.
to us.
Hmm.
So it is anger. It's like it is not right to us. We are
Yeah.
angry. We don't like it. Yeah.
Hmm.
So we do have to find, like as an adult, definitely we have to find a healthy way to express that. For
Yeah,
some,
yeah.
we can like, write letters or whatever, like
Hmm.
just write down the feelings, burn them,
Hmm.
etc. Others they prefer to do maybe more physical ones. They go for
Hmm.
jogging, they'll go for kickboxing. I
Hmm.
personally prefer singing
Yeah,
those songs and yelling into the mic. That yeah, up to you to
yeah,
express them. It's not good to
yeah.
hold them inside. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Mhm.
do this practice called sacred screaming where I'll be in my car and I will just let myself like scream all the things that I want to say. And it's not like I'm directing it, like no one's with me, but it's
Mhm.
that in itself is such a powerful practice because it's like you actually allow yourself to say those nasty things that you don't ever want to say to another person, but it's like it needs
Mhm.
to find a way to express itself in a healthy way that's not going to, hurt other people. And the other thing
Yes.
that I found is abstract art, because abstract art in itself is so, it can be anything you want it to be. So if you're angry and
Mhm.
you express that in a very creative, uh, liberated way, that
Yeah.
also gives room for you to have kind of these moments of silence with yourself or making your hands busy. So that also, it works through that way. Yeah,
I
very
love.
powerful stuff.
And I think I saw some of the abstract art you post when you were drawing on your
Hmm.
Instagram. I
Yeah.
was like, it's so beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. And it's funny, like my abstract art started as an anger release, but it actually became much more of a personal practice to connection and to like flow and channeling because I don't plan anything I draw. So it's its own process and it's really fun.
I love that.
Yeah.
Girl can be a feel as well. It
Yeah.
can be a feel for you to connect to your to the to the higher source. So I
And
like that.
that's yeah, that's what I consider the Queen of Wands being the Queen of Wands because she's got that fiery, like angry energy behind her, sometimes very passionate. And the way
Mm,
that she directs it and channels it into her creative methods or her endeavors, like that's very powerful. It's a great fuel.
I love that. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
feel. Is that as you channel it right, you probably don't need to carry the anger and direct it to someone else,
Hmm.
and that will overall, I think that will bring more peace into everyone. You know, I would
Yeah.
look for people to do that so that the world can be more peaceful.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the
Yeah, another
dream.
very yeah, just want to add another very good way for expressing
Mhm.
the anger I found recently. If you're into video game, you have tons of
Yeah.
connection over there.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. Yeah, I used to love to play Diablo 3 because that was like a way to just like
Mm,
go through the anger that I was feeling or whatever I was feeling. It was a lot of fun to just kind of, kill a dungeon essentially.
yeah, definitely. So
Yeah.
yeah, let them out and just feel them. Feeling them
Hmm.
allows you to bring in that peace and forgiveness. Not just
Hmm.
for others, but mostly for yourself.
Yeah, it's really, yeah, it does. It creates that like I always call it the vacuum after you express your anger or whatever, because you have this space then where it can be filled with whatever it is that you want to focus on or whatever it is that, needs to be addressed.
Yes,
Hmm.
definitely. I love
Yeah. Yeah.
it's such a lovely, I would say lovely, very deep conversation.
Yeah. 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 Beautiful.
I love this. I really love this. Thank you for sharing all this with me. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you for having me. Like I said, I'm honored to be here.
I'm honored to have you. Like, you're
Mm.
such a light. On Twitter for so long.
Mhm.
Like when I joined Twitter, I was like new and everything. Like you like there are a few of you who are like such a light. I've followed from back then and until now. I'm just like,
Mhm.
wow, guys.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny, I had to take a couple of months off for myself mostly, but I feel
Mm.
like, I'm at a point now where I'm like, yeah, I've forgiven a lot of things. I've, cleared a lot of things, and now I'm ready to show back up again, it's great to have that space where I can be that light in a sense, or if people even see me that way, that's amazing, So thank you.
Yes, I love that. I love that
Yeah.
for us. I think it's just the winter.
Hmm.
A lot of people are taking a break from social media throughout the winter, also because Mercury retrograde. Yeah,
Hmm.
so we need to take a step back. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I'm a Cancer Sun Leo moon, so I'm like very, very emotional, and I get really attached to things that I feel very passionately about. And being
Mm.
on social media can create this kind of space for myself where I just feel just it's like not fun. Do you know what I mean? Where I like have all these opinions, and it's like, well, none of this really is mattering for me, so I can just take that step back and focus on art or focus on something else. And I'm blessed that I even have that ability to do that,
Mhm.
focus on
Yeah,
other creative projects.
I love that. I love to see that.
Yeah.
When I see your arts on Instagram, I'm just like, wow, like for real,
Thank
wow.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you for really amazing to have you today.
Hmm.
But if you have anything you'd like to add on the topic of forgiveness,
No, I think I covered it all.
I think we covered a lot today, and
Hmm.
yeah, it sounds like a good place to perhaps stop the live today. But yes, before we go, okay, I
Hmm.
would like to give you another space to shout out on your business, what you do. Are
Hmm.
you back in business? Are you taking booking, etc.? How
Yeah.
can everyone find you? Yeah.
Yeah. I am taking bookings. My website is Kutu2, which is KUTUTWO, tarot.as.me. I
Mm.
take bookings anytime, like, whenever. And I'm also on Twitter. Twitter is really a great place to find me. And that's KUTUTWOO on there.
Oh,
And I'm also on TikTok, which I dabble.
okay, awesome.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have all your links on the description so that
Hmm.
everyone can find you easily. And yeah, like thank you once again for joining us today. And it was
Yeah.
great speaking with you, connecting
Yeah.
with you. Feel free to come back to and do this anytime. Like you have a topic, hit me up.
Yeah. Yeah, I will. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this.
I'm
Yeah.
glad.
Thank you again so much for having me.
Thank you. It's an honor. I
Yeah.
looking forward to you soon. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
See you and
Bye.